All right, back here on Inside Wrestling Radio, and it's a pleasure and a thrill for me today to have on the radio Ernest the Cat Miller. And you'll remember Ernest from his World Championship Wrestling and WWE days when he came out and did all his dancing stuff there in the ring and actually danced with James Brown and has actually gone into movies and film. Most recently was in The Wrestler with
Mickey Rourke. Of course they remember me. Everybody remember me.
That's exactly right. Welcome to the program, Ernest, and we're glad to have you on. Tell us a little bit about getting into the business here, Ernest. I know you played some football there in Georgia, but tell us about how you got over into the wrestling deal.
Well, I was my history, and I think it's very important to start with my history first, so therefore you can kind of follow me into pro wrestling. I started out as a mixed martial art and karate champion. There I opened a school and I started teaching karate. It just so happened to be one of my karate students was Eric Bischoff, who at that time was the senior vice president of WCW. One of my students turned out to be his son. So Eric got to come in. He saw me working out with the kids, doing karate and talking, and he was like, man, you need to be on my show. And at that time, I wasn't much into wrestling, so I asked him, well, what show are you talking about? And
right.
He explained to me pro wrestling. So he asked, about a year later, I accepted that invitation, and things started from there.
Now, Ernest, did you ever have any interest at all in wrestling before Eric approached you?
Hell no.
Never know anything about it at all, huh?
And I said wrestling is not a place for a black man, so I was not thinking about wrestling.
Never entered your lexicon there. So
now, I was entertained by it. It's just like a lot of other people I grew up watching and having some kind of heroic person, Ernie Ladd, someone I looked up to, and
sure.
Sports figure to me was a sport. I didn't know it was entertainment. So just like, Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson, I had Ernie Ladd and Thunderbolt Patterson amongst those heroes, of mine.
Sure. Now you started off doing the Mortis and Glacier gimmick there.
Well, I started out, but that wasn't my initial way of getting into wrestling.
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to just come out as Ernest Miller, a karate, ex-pro athlete kind of character.
Sure.
But they had this stuff planned way before I got there.
Right.
It just so happened nobody in the bunch knew karate. So the karate part of it wasn't getting over. It was a good gimmick.
Sure.
The karate part of it wasn't getting over, so I ended up doing, they said we got to bring somebody out who can, kind of spark the karate interest in it.
Uh-huh.
And that's when they said, well, let's just put him in there for a little while. And most people don't realize, like, way before we even got into that, I wrestled Glacier in a match on Saturday night TV.
Right, yeah, right there on WCW Saturday Night, right.
Yeah,
now,
So
now, did you train? Did you train those guys on the karate side of it? Like did you?
No. I mean, if I had trained those guys, would have been better karate.
Absolutely. I tell you what, always interesting and fun to me was the when you started doing your dance and stuff. How did that come about?
Man, just like anything else, having fun. When you see kids on the playground and having fun, they always throw a little dance move, and you can always tell by a big smile and every now and then a dance move.
Yeah.
So it's just me having a good time and just having a good time.
Yeah, and how big of a thrill was it to dance with James Brown?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable, man. It was something that you could never forget. I never thought I'd be in that position, first of all, to dance with someone like James Brown, someone I grew up watching. So
sure.
It was a real big thrill.
Did you get to talk to him much backstage before it went down there on the pay-per-view?
Yeah, we were drinking and smoking weed together.
Come on now, Ernest.
I was just playing.
That's great. So after you left the WCW there, you went into to WWE for a little bit of time. How was that different from WCW?
Man, it was just so different, man. Me not having a background, understanding of pro wrestling, it's just like me going from high school, graduated from high school, back into high school, because now I got to learn things over again, and things are so different up there that, it was just like I just never felt like I was a part of that team, and for me to function and to have fun in life, I got to feel needed and wanted, So from day one, I feel like I really was a part of that WWE family.
Did you feel kind of like maybe you lost in the mix because it had so many people on there, or why did you feel that way?
No, you got to understand. I was in the mix when I was in wrestling as a whole. It's like,
sure.
Although we had different companies, we had WCW, ECW, but it's all wrestling. It's
sure.
all the same shit,
Right.
So what happened? Here we are now. I'm in a different household. You know,
Right.
we're doing the same thing. It's a different household. If I was able to make it in WCW and get over like that, of course I can get over. I was already over going into WWE.
Sure, absolutely.
But it was just a different horse to ride. You know,
Right.
It just wasn't my horse.
Yeah,
There's certain things that I was not going to do to get ahead, and certain things that I couldn't do out of respect for myself and who I am and my integrity. It's just certain things I just was not going. I wasn't going to do. You know, so.
But he wanted to put you in some kind of stupid outfit or something like he did with Ron Simmons when he brought Ron in.
Put a man with a wig on, with an afro wig, looking like buckwheat, introducing my dance. That when I first started doing my dance was not to be just a dance. My dance was to be something to distract my opponent from what was really going on, just so I can do a kick.
Sure, right.
You know, it was part of a weapon. If you understand martial arts, you see people have different stands, different styles of karate, and all of it, and some of it just a shield, a smoke screen, you know, something that's out there that to prevent you from seeing what weapon they're about to use.
Right.
You know, and that's the same reason I used to do my Jane Brown dance. You know, something that people can understand and be entertained by at the same time. Watch out for that damn kick.
Right.
You know, but when I went to WWE, they just wanted to dance. Like, that's all I can do as a black man is shuffle and dance like Al Joseph or somebody, you know, and that wasn't, you know, what it was meant to be. So they was upset that it wasn't getting over, and I couldn't get it over because I didn't feel it.
And it does make a huge difference when you don't feel it, like what you're talking about, and when you feel like they're sucking the actual life out of what you had kind of built. And that's what it kind of sounds to me like they were.
The fans are not stupid.
Right.
The fans, if they can see right through everything, if they don't see it, if they don't feel it, if you don't feel it and you're not really selling it, if not sold to you, you can't sell it to the fans because they understand that, okay, that's not real. That's not, you know, I'm not feeling it.
Sure. So who did you have the biggest run-in with while you were up there at the Fed? Was it Vince, or was it some of his agents, or what was the...
Of course, some of the agents, man. But, you know, it wasn't a run-in with anybody.
Right.
I got along with everybody. I mean, everybody's nice, man, in this business, man.
Sure.
You would not believe there's some really good fathers, sons, mothers, and daughters in this business, you know, who happen just to be wrestlers. So, you know, it wasn't like, you know, you just, the fight is within yourself because you feel like you ain't getting the spot. You know where you know, it's like, you know where you want to be or where you should be or where you need to be successful,
right.
And you never feel like that. It's just like dancing on ice. You can still dance, but you just don't feel founded or grounded, you know?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Ernest, we're up on a break here real quick, but before we go to the break, I want to ask you real quick, has there been any interest at all to bringing you up to TNA with your friend Eric there?
You know what, they asked me to come to TNA before I went to WWE, and then they talked to me slightly, but, you know, I don't like Jeff Jarrett, so me and Jeff Jarrett ain't never got along. I ain't never liked some of the things he said and done, so, you know, I don't think TNA would be a place for me as long as he was in there, so that's why I never went to TNA.
Okay. Well, that's a good place to leave it right there. We'll pick right up there when we come back from the break. We'll maybe talk a little bit more about it.
During this break, I'm going to eat my oatmeal.
Okay. Yeah, you go ahead and eat your oatmeal, and we'll be right back. We're here with Ernest the Cat Miller on Inside Wrestling Radio.